word about an upcoming show on ABC and a word from your local station. Coming up, an interview with Joe Robbie Stadium opened last season, and they have not sold out. Well, they have sold one game out this year, but too late to lift the blackout. So the point I'm making here is that not one game has been televised locally in Miami in 1988.
Boy, for those Dolphin fans staying home tonight, they're missing quite a Dan Marino show. Just under 200 yards in the first half, and the way it was setting up at the end of the first half, it should not change a whole lot.
Well, the business at hand is for the Cleveland Browns, who came into this game favored, trail Miami by a touchdown, and have their situation in their own hands. If they win their remaining 2 games, they're at home for the playoffs for the wild card game.
This is Joe Cribbs bringing it back out to the 29-yard line. And we'll take a look at the numbers through the first 30 minutes. A couple of turnovers for each team, and Miami with Marino, that hot second quarter, and 189 yards for Dan at the half.
Remember how nondescript those numbers were at the end of the first quarter. 50 and 65 yards respectively. A lot of action in the second, and again over 4,000 yards for the 4th time for Dan Marino. Almost a 60% completion average. 7 more touchdowns than interceptions. This guy truly is in a zone, a level, all by his lonesome.
And when it starts to happen, Dan, it's sort of self-generating. The tempo just keeps picking up.
And he's going to have to work to make the Pro Bowl this year.
Yep.
Guys like Kelly and Esiason, because of how their teams are doing, you'd have to think are going to get real looks.
Still won't ensure he'll show up. Hampton makes the catch. And out to the 38-yard line, close to a first down. Dan, like Fran Tarkenton for years, a notable no-show in the Pro Bowl.
I think I was on 4 or 5 different Pro Bowl teams elected with Fran Tarkenton, and
never met him.
That was before they moved the game to Hawaii.
I bumped into him in a restaurant one time.
Hi, Fran. I'm Dan Deerdorf.
He wouldn't talk to me. No, Fran, actually, I've spoken to Fran a number of times, but you're right. He was a guy that just didn't really make a habit of making it to that game.
2nd and 1, and Banks makes the catch and takes it to the Cleveland 46-yard line. And so Marino picks right up where he left off in the first half. First down at the 46 of the Browns. Banks with his 4th reception tonight, and that's a career high for the man who started his career with the Browns.
And of course, Banks has made a major difference tonight with the loss of Mark Duper with the drug suspension. You would have to figure the Browns concentrate on Mark Clayton, and they've been doing that, but Banks is having a big night. Got that big number 11 in there, Dan.
Yeah, I've got one that we're going to pass along here for all you number nuts out there.
There's number 11, Jensen. What a lead-in for you.
Boy, our timing is good tonight.
Boy, I tell you, this is like a crap table right now. EO, go.
Again, Jim Jensen motion coming out of the backfield, and the Browns showing an inability to stay with the motion man. And Marino, there's no question where he's going with it. And listen to this. Jim Jensen now, I talked about what a big number 11 he is at 6'4", 220. Doug Todd, the PR director of the Dallas Cowboys, calls Eddie White, the PR director of the Dolphins, to tell us about Sonny Gibbs, who was the 2nd-round pick of Dallas. He was a quarterback out of TCU in 1962, who was 6'7", 235.
My era, I remember him well.
The only thing I say is now, if you got to go back 26 years to call me out on something, I can live with that. I can live with it.
Nice going, Doug.
Well, the conditioning programs are different today also. I remember.
What
He might have grown a little larger. I remember Sonny Gibbs.
Do you really?
Yeah. And
TCU. The
collegiate performance.
The Horned Frog.
Yep.
One of my all-time favorite collegiate mascots.
Dan Jenkins.
Handsome little creatures.
2nd and 8. Out of the shotgun from the 27-yard line. Marino incomplete, intended for Banks, who can't come up with what would have been catch number 5 on the evening for him. 3rd down and 8.
One of the few times Marino has been off target tonight.
He had 9 consecutive completions until misfiring here.
And Banks was wide open here against Minifield. Little drive to the inside. Banks looking awfully good tonight. He had a drive to the inside that caught Minifield, who, like Dixon on the other side, is a good man-to-man defender. He had him spun around.
3rd and 8 at the 27-yard line.
Ronnie Lee back at right tackle for the Dolphins here at the start of the second half.
Marino, flag, incomplete, but a marker coming. Intended for Clayton. And the call goes against Cleveland, and it's going to be an automatic first.
Holding. Defense. Number 31. 5 yards. First down.
Minifield.
I think he's lined up on Freddie Banks and rides him to the inside, and then watch what happens when Banks tries to go back to the outside. There's the hold right there with the left hand. It wasn't that shot with the right. That's perfectly legal, but when Banks tried to cross back over in front of Minifield's body, you saw the left hand right up at the shoulder pads. An alert official said, "I caught you."
At the 22-yard line, 1st and 10. And the catch made by Davenport. First down, and then out of bounds he goes at the 6-yard line. Davenport, who's played a major role in Miami's offense of late after a nondescript first half of the season. He's really come on, and you'll recall we did a game here last year when they went to him a lot through the air. In fact, he caught 10 passes to tie at that point a team record.
And Marino continues to go right after the Brown linebackers. This time it's David Grayson, number 56. See him come out trying to cover Davenport? I mean, he is way late and way short. And Marino continually going to that matchup of isolating a Brown linebacker.
1st and goal from the 7. Hampton gets stopped at the 1. He had a big hole initially, and then it closes just before he gets to the goal line. Pushed back by Clay Matthews. 2nd down.
That was a major league collision. You could hear that. You could almost feel it all the way up here in the booth.
Spotted just inside the 2. Early 3rd quarter. Miami on top 17-10. All of the scoring in this game in the 2nd quarter.
Did you see Marino stick his head up out of the Dolphin huddle and look to see who came on the field for the Cleveland Browns? Now, how alert is this guy? He wants to know what personnel's on the other side.
Wants to see if he can get Jensen matched up with Junkin again. On 2nd and goal, Hampton, he's in, touchdown.
And again, look at that, right to the isolation on a linebacker. Grayson again.
He opened the night with it. Remember Farrell Edmonds? They tried to cover him with a linebacker. He's been hitting backs out of the backfield all night long. But to get that kind of a hookup with a receiver and a linebacker covering, you've really got to know what you're doing out there.
Now, if I'm a Brown guy and I'm on the other side of the ball and I see Marino stick his head out of the huddle and look at me, I wave at him and say, "Hey, Dan, come on now. Give me a rest, will you?" And that's what David Grayson is saying now. Marino, you have to give him credit, maximizing his opportunity, going for his best possible matchup.
Jaworski holds for Reveiz, and the kick is good. And so the Dolphins take the 2nd half kickoff, march down the field. Marino with the hot hand, and Miami leads by 14. The man with ties to both teams you're watching tonight. He started with the Browns. He was their first-round draft choice in 1964, then went on to star with the Dolphins for 5 seasons, and went back to Cleveland to close out his career. Hall of Famer Paul Warfield. Paul Warfield, he gave us a lot of thrills, and here's a guy who's given Dolphin fans a number of them tonight and throughout the season. Jim Jensen. 24-10 Miami. This is Glenn Young. From the 4, he brings it back out to the 28-yard line.
You know, we saw the touchdown by Hampton, and we'll get a good look at him coming out here and the matchup with Grayson. But keep an eye on this guy, Farrell Edmonds. Here goes Jensen in motion, but watch how wide open Farrell Edmonds, the tight end, is. The motion by Jensen just completely confuses the Browns secondary. There's Edmonds, who makes a block. He hits Grayson, and then My gosh, if Dan Marino wanted, all he has to do is plop it over the top, and Edmonds has an easy catch. Right now, the Miami passing game has got the Browns secondary in a serious state of flux.
From the 28-yard line, 1st and 10. Cleveland. Kosar to Fontenot. And he's tackled at the 37-yard line, just short of the first down by Judson.
We talk so much about what would happen if Cleveland wins tonight. Well, if they lose tonight, nobody is going to clinch, and nobody is eliminated, but it's sure going to complicate things.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The New England Patriots are sitting in front of their television sets tonight, rooting like crazy for Miami, because then New England, with a victory at Denver Saturday, would clinch a wild card berth. And even if they were to lose, they'd still have a chance to get in, but at least they would control their own fate.
And Indianapolis stays alive.
That's right. 2nd down and 1 at the 37-yard line. Byner takes the long route to a first down, loses the ball, but he was down. No fumble. Ball was down. Clearly indicated by the official. First down, Cleveland at the 43-yard line.
Of course, this game we're watching tonight, if the Browns should lose it, it's not going to be lamented very much in Houston either. Is he down? Clearly has the ball in his possession, hits the ground, it comes loose. No fumble.
First down at the 43-yard line. Kosar has it knocked down by big number 98, Jackie Klein. 2nd down and 10. Well, we've been talking about some of the convoluted ways teams can get in. In a way, we've been trying to clear it up, and I'm sure along the way, confusing some of you. We've talked about New England. Now, if the Browns lose tonight, they're down by 14. New England would clinch a wild card with a win at Denver, or even if they lose to the Broncos, losses next week by the Browns to Houston and the Colts to Buffalo would still get them in. But New England again would control its fate. And we'll tell you about Indianapolis in a moment. The late great Colts, who were buried on Saturday by some, but are still alive.
We'll need 2 pages for that.
Right. Flag is thrown at the inception of the play. And the catch is made by Clarence Weathers, but we'll see if it goes into the record books or not, because Dick Hantak's crew has dropped some laundry.
24 minutes left here, though. I think that's a point we have to make.
Offside against Miami, so Shula says, what? And they'll take the play because the play nets them 11 and 5.
Defense, number 28. Penalty is declined. First down.
It's Don McNeil. Now, for those of you in Indianapolis wondering about your Colts, what has to happen? Well, if Cleveland loses tonight, then what has to happen next week is the Colts have to beat Buffalo. There it is. If they lose tonight, they'd have to beat Buffalo with the Colts, and then the Browns would have to lose to Houston, and the Patriots would have to lose Saturday to Denver, and Indianapolis would go to the playoffs. First things first, they need 4 things to happen, the first of which, of course, is the Browns to lose tonight. Okay.
And they'd be awarded the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. Meanwhile, they move the sticks here, the reason for the momentary delay. And the ball is at the 44-yard line. How do the Cowboys get to the playoffs, guys?
Well, they're in their own Troy Aikman race with Green Bay.
Yeah, they're and when you know it, the Dallas and Green Bay both won this past weekend, which I think makes a statement about the competitive spirit in the National Football League. I think every coach in this league would take it as an insult if you even inferred, well, you ought to lose this game so you can get a better draft choice. If you know anything about having a competitive spirit, that is an insult.
Particularly Tom Landry and Indian Fighting.
1st and 10, Cleveland at the 44-yard line. And a loose ball for the moment. Tony Baker juggled it, and Baker was the fellow who carried the ball for the first time as a Brown for a 13-yard pickup in the first half. Almost lost the handle here, but retrieves it and is stopped after a minimal gain.
So simple out in the AFC West, isn't it?
Yeah. L.A. or Seattle? Winner take all.
But it's incredible that if it is L.A., and look at that job by Baker of getting the ball back, that we would see a division champion with a 500 record.
As Cleveland was in 1985.
Just doesn't sit right, does it?
No, it doesn't.
2nd down and 9 at the 43-yard line. This is Byner through the middle, and he slugs forward to the 36. You know, one other thing that hasn't gotten a lot of publicity, because people talking in terms of Houston as a wild card, if Washington beats Cincinnati on Saturday, and that's not out of the question, and then Houston beats Cleveland on Sunday, Houston wins the division, and Cincinnati's the wild card. So all in all, who has clinched? Well, Buffalo, they don't have to worry about anything. They won the East. They're going to the playoffs. Cincinnati is in, at least as a wild card. And in the NFC, Chicago is in with home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And San Francisco is also in at no worse than a wild card spot.
But we only have 2 division champions, and that's Chicago and Buffalo.
Right. 3rd and 2 from the 36-yard line. Slaughter, back off the injured reserve list, makes the catch, takes it to the 25-yard line. And he's stopped by William Judson.
Of course, in the NFC East, the Giants can win their division outright with a win over the Jets this weekend. They'll be the away team, but they play in the same stadium. The Eagles can become a wild card if they and the Giants both win, and the Saints defeat Atlanta, or the 49ers defeat the Rams. Even if the Eagles lose at Dallas, they would still be a wild card if the Rams and the Saints both lose.
Meanwhile, as we banter about the playoff possibilities, the Cleveland Browns, trailing by 14, are putting together a nifty little drive.
And they've moved the ball all the way to the 26-yard line. 1st and 10, 6:25 to go in the 3rd quarter. And Kosar going deep and batted away on a beautiful play by William Judson, intended for Clarence Weathers.
Judson has made some plays tonight. Good position, timed it well.
That's when playing cornerback has to be fun. When you get to make a play like that, where you defense the receiver perfectly, follow the ball, and then just reach out with your left hand and flick it away, almost effortlessly.
He's had a couple of good plays tonight. He's had a couple of good completions, but they were perfectly thrown balls, and that's going to happen to a defensive back. But watch this. McNeil is there, the last second, the outstretched hand takes it away from him.
Right over the top. And that's where Clarence Weathers, as a wide receiver at only 5'9", at somewhat of a disadvantage of giving away several inches to a taller William Judson.
2nd and 10, Cleveland. At the 25-yard line, Eric Kumaro was shaken up on the last play. He's out. And the catch is made over the middle and then dropped, but after Ozzie Newsome was down. Offerdahl makes the tackle. And again, we talked about Newsome, the fact that Ozzie's handled the ball over 500 consecutive times now without a fumble, and that's about as close as you come.
That was a good read by Kosar picking up the blitz, but I don't think it functioned so well. I mean, he had called something different than what transpired on the field. Ooh, very close.
Ooh. Well, they say the ground can't cause a fumble. The ball is in his possession and in his hand when his hand hits the ground. I mean, if you're going to take the literal interpretation.
It's all history now. 3rd and 7, looking for the first down. They have it on forward progress as Langhorne makes the catch in first down territory before he's pushed back. First down at the 15-yard line.
Working against Langford. Again, not bad coverage by Langford. Just brilliant timing between Kosar and the receiver, and we watched it all night. Good drive by the Browns.
Isn't it something how these two quarterbacks, by and large, make such intelligent decisions about where to go, who to throw to, who's open? It's fun to watch a game. Quarterback by these two.
First down, Cleveland, 15-yard line. On a draw, Byner fights his way for 5 to the 10-yard line. Kumaro, the report on him, we talked about his leaving the game about 5 plays ago. Groin pull, and they say he won't be back. #1 draft choice. There he is.
And this is a wasted opportunity for Eric Kumaro, their #1 choice this year out of Ohio State. This is the time of the season when a guy like that should play every down, get as much experience as he can. And this is kind of a shame. It's a bummer to go into the offseason off an injury. We hope he can come back next week and play.
2nd and 6 at the 11-yard line. Byner makes the catch, and he's out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Earnest Byner, who caught a touchdown pass in the 2nd quarter, stepping out with 3:51 to go in the 3rd quarter. Each team has had the ball just once in this period.
Byner came into tonight leading the Browns in receiving. He has not hurt himself tonight. We watched him out on the flank. We watched him work in the backfield. Having a big night.
First and goal at the 2-yard line. Crowd, or the referee Hantak, announcing that Ricky Bolden comes in as an eligible receiver, 77. He has caught a touchdown pass this season. And Kosar, under pressure, escaping, and scores.
That was not in slow motion.
Well, heads up play, Bernie Kosar. Everything set up to the right. They flood the field to the right. And one of the pluses of that is that if it folds up to your right side, there's nothing left over to the left. And again, a smart play by Kosar. He knows with the way they've worked the right side of the field, if I get in trouble, head away from it. Head away to where the Dolphins have vacated the area.
You've talked about it, Dan. Great read by both these quarterbacks. It is a pleasure to watch it.
His first rushing touchdown of the season and his 3rd rushing touchdown of his career. Bahr's extra point is good. 3:43 to go in the 3rd. And Cleveland back within 7. Folks from Youngstown, Ohio have made their way down, and these Browns fans are hoping to come back to Miami in 6 weeks. Site of the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 23. Bahr's kick taken at the 6-yard line by Joe Cribbs. And he brings it back out to the 27, and a penalty marker is down. Marlon Jones makes the tackle. 3:33 to play in the 3rd quarter.
Youngstown, Ohio. The DeBartolo family from Youngstown. Edward Jr., the owner of the San Francisco 49ers.
There is no flag on the play. First down, Miami.
Could have fooled us.
Yeah. Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. We'll be back. 3:33 to play in the 3rd quarter. Miami on top, 24-17. Dolphins took the 2nd half kickoff, drove for a touchdown. Cleveland took the ball, drove for a touchdown. Miami has it now for the 2nd time in the 2nd half. 1st and 10 at the 27. And they start on the ground as Hampton picks up about 2. Dave Grayson, the Cleveland linebacker, out of the game. He has bruised both knees and appears to be done for tonight.
Very busy tonight. They've been working on Grayson with backs out of the backfield, and that means that Clipper Charlton, the rookie 1st-round draft pick out of Florida, is in the lineup now for the Browns.
At the 29-yard line, 2nd down and 9. There's a look at Dave Grayson. His father starred as a defensive back with the Raiders about 20 years ago. From the 29-yard line, Hampton. Run out of bounds by Mike Johnson on the far side. Well, Miami tonight, we go up to Minnesota to wrap up the NFL season next Monday night. And then, gents, we are back in the South as we return to New Orleans and the Sugar Bowl on the night of January the 2nd.
I don't know if college football is ready for our entrance. We ought to get a few tips from Keith Jackson, Bob Greasy.
Nothing against Green Bay, but we would have liked to have been going to Minnesota with a different scenario.
I, for one, will be concentrating on the big uglies up front.
In the trenches.
It's always one in the pit.
I hope that the barn doesn't burn.
And the cornfield with it. 3rd and 5 from the 33. Marino to Jensen at the 45-yard line. A first down. Jim Jensen earlier this year established a Dolphin record when he caught 12 passes in the game at New England. And tonight for Jensen, that's catch number 5.
The Miami passing game has been something that the Browns and their pass defense, which is the #1 pass defense in the AFC and the NFL, just really haven't seemed to be able to solve tonight. It's very uncharacteristic to see receivers that wide open in this talented Browns secondary.
Marino from the 44 drops it over the middle for Hampton. He escapes Junkin, and then Matthews, with help from Dixon, brings him down, but not until he has a first down.
Remember how we talked at the top of the telecast about the frustration being felt here in Miami by both Don Shula and the entire team at some of the things that have been said about them and some of the things that have been written about them and talked about, and I think you're seeing something tonight. I think you're seeing a football team reflecting the character and the pride and the decency of that guy right there, Don Shula.
As he said, Don Shula, at our halftime interview, he said, I've got to show leadership. And I'm sure he's expressed it this past week.
Well, they're responding.
From the 45-yard line, Clayton. And in this down year for Miami, here's one guy still having a terrific season, Mark Clayton. A first down at the 30-yard line. And again, earlier tonight, eclipsing his own team record for receptions in a season. And he's also caught his 12th touchdown pass of the year along the way. 1:06 to play in the quarter.
And over 1,000 yards.
First and 10, Miami at the 30-yard line. Miami ahead, 24-17. Catch made by Clayton. Beautiful catch. First down at the 16-yard line, tackled by Hanford Dixon.
Oh, he had a great angle to watch that. Couple of all-pros performing brilliantly. Marino to Clayton, and he was in a crowd, and Marino drilled it in there.
Well, watch underneath. Watch Brian Washington actually be the guy from underneath that really disturbs the flight of the ball and gets his hands right in Mark Clayton's face. I guess what Clayton has done is made even all the more remarkable by what kind of a year Duper had been having even before the suspension. Duper only had 1 touchdown catch all year long. The burden really has been on the shoulders of Mark Clayton to perform.
Marino has now thrown for 300 yards tonight as Davenport gets stopped just past the line of scrimmage and pushed back, and that will be the final play of the third quarter. So the Dolphins drove for a touchdown. The Browns drove for a touchdown. The Browns only had the ball once in the period, and Miami trying to drive for another score into the third. Miami by 7. Back we come after this message about an upcoming show on ABC and a word from your local station. Fourth quarter in Miami. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf. Good ball game. Miami on top 24-17, and driving are the Dolphins. Second down and 9 at the Cleveland 15-yard line. Marino out of the shotgun.
Cleveland wants to win this game. Somebody's going to have to come up with a big play.
It's tipped, and there's your big play. Felix Wright.
Whoa!
And he loses it, and can Marino get it?
Oh.
Marino recovers the fumble. Boy, was that a big play.
I guess it
Both
was.
ways.
What hustle by one of the Miami Dolphins who came back and jarred the ball loose.
And hustle by Marino to get over there.
Let's see if we can figure out who it is. Okay, the ball's going to be tipped at the line of scrimmage. Here it is by Marlon Jones. Now it's deflected to Felix Wright. Look at the left. Who's going to come in here and get this ball?
Goldberg.
No, it's Mark Clayton. It's Mark Clayton who comes in and hits Felix right from behind and knocks the ball loose. I mean, what else can Mark Clayton do here tonight?
And how about Marino? He was over there ready to make the tackle.
Yeah.
Well, ready to see how things were going over in the sidelines.
Now that is some kind of hustle by Mark Clayton.
Well, he knew what he was doing, didn't he?
Marlon Jones with the tip, Felix Wright with the interception, and Mark Clayton, the big guy there for Miami, to knock it loose.
Boy, and this is the ideal time to fire that ball into the end zone. You have everything a little discombobulated. You take your speed, probably Banks. Clayton will draw the double coverage to try and go up on top and get it off.
After all that, first down Miami, this time at the 37-yard line instead of the 15. Jensen in motion, makes the catch, and takes the ball to the 26-yard line, and it should be enough for a first down.
Again, it appears that the movement of Jensen is really somehow perplexing the Browns. I mean, they're not very complicated pass routes, Frank.
No, they're not. They start him in motion, they turn around and bring him back the other way, and they have been getting him lined up against the linebacker, and Marino has been successful all night long in doing that.
I mean, the Dolphins aren't reinventing the wheel as far as their pass pattern, but the Browns, this just isn't their customary game.
There's a Marino read coming up.
First down from the 26-yard line. Great protection again, but too far. Intended for Mark Clayton. Marino tonight up and over 300 again. That's nothing new. It's the 6th time this season. It's the 32nd time in his career. There are the figures, and only Dan Fouts with more, 51, and Fouts, of course, played 14 seasons.
Coming into tonight, he had 5 300-yard games, but he had only won one of those games. And that'll tell you a little bit about the Dolphins defense.
Well, what the Dolphins defense, they had 4 games this year where they didn't allow a touchdown, and they lost 3 of those. So that was the Miami offense that went to sleep. They've taken turns letting each other down.
2nd and 10 at the 26. Jensen in motion. And Marino comes back the other way, and the catch is made by Banks. At the 12-yard line, tackled by Hanford Dixon. And that's a first down.
But that's just fun to watch. Hanford Dixon again in great position. Couldn't be much better. And Dolphins slow getting up. Harry Galbraith, their rookie right guard, appears all right, but again, he couldn't cover him any better.
No, I mean, if you're Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins. If you're his counterpart for the Browns, you look at Dixon in the meeting tomorrow when they watch these films, and you go, Hanford, nice job. Sometimes you just can't be that good. You can't do it well enough. Perfect coverage by Dixon. Just an even better throw.
1st and 10 at the 13-yard line. Hampton pushed back by Charlton as he reaches the 10-yard line. What's interesting here, too, is Miami, a team that normally does not possess the ball for large quantities of time. In this second half, which is 17 minutes old, Cleveland has had the ball just once in the half.
You think I should explain that again, Frank?
You're running by me if you want to. Well, it used to be there.
Well, sometimes it
gets late.
Sometimes you start off with something that sounds like really a great idea. Halfway through there, you lose it.
Halfway. 2nd and 7 from the 10. Off the fingertips of Jensen. Covered by Harper. So 3rd and 7 at the 10-yard line. David Shula.
Even he hasn't escaped the wrath of the fans here in Miami.
By no means.
Assistant head coach at 29 years of age. I guess, what was it? Greg Cook, a former player here, gave an interview and intimated that some of the Dolphins players weren't real happy with him being the assistant head coach. Quickly refuted, I should add, by most of the Dolphin veterans.
3rd and 7. Marino going to the end zone. Touchdown, Clayton.
Again, you had another perfect
late
flag comes in, but I think that was after the touchdown had already been signaled.
Flag is back at the 17-yard line.
Mike Johnson, the Browns linebacker, really upset. I mean, really hot. Still upset and still going after Jim Jensen. Somehow Johnson and Jensen became involved in something.
And for Dixon ran over there, tried to make a little piece before Mike Johnson got thrown out permanently. But what a great shot again by Marino, and you had a perfect camera angle to watch it.
Personal foul. Offense, number 11. Personal foul. 59 defense. Penalties are offset. Touchdown.
All happening after the touchdown. An emotional game.
Well, Johnson and his defense, they're not used to this type of shredding. This is a defense that has allowed only 16 points a game, the 4th fewest points in the league coming into the game. Reveiz kicks it through, and Miami has now scored 31, and they lead by 2 touchdowns.
It's a simple pattern. Here's Clayton. Just watch the corner into the end zone. The only throw that'll work here is one that is right there. The single coverage. Harper not in bad position, but it's tough to defend the perfect pass and the perfect play.
Well, Miami on top 31-17, and this one started innocently enough. A scoreless first quarter. And then 17-10 at the half. Miami 31-17 at the moment. Reveiz to kick off. And that one bounds into the end zone for a touchback. Out it comes to the 20-yard line.
We talked how...
Well, we've all heard about the tragic toll resulting from the earthquake in Soviet Armenia, which has killed thousands, left many more homeless, and the Armenian people in New York have set up special phone lines for those who wish to help. There's the toll-free number at the bottom, 1-800-527-6364, where you can send your contributions to the Armenian Diocese Earthquake Fund at 630 2nd Avenue, New York 10016. Recall that number you see listed right there.
Almost hard to believe the magnitude of that tragedy.
Cleveland from the 20. Kosar starts by hitting Fontenot. That's a first down up at the 33-yard line with 12:23 to go in the 4th quarter. Only the 2nd time in the half that the Browns have had the football.
I'll give you an idea how Marino has shredded the Browns defense. We've given you a lot of stats, but coming into tonight, the Cleveland defense had allowed an NFL low 8 touchdown passes. He has hit for 4 tonight, and it's not over.
And with 196 in his career, just to keep putting that in perspective, he passed Kenny Stabler tonight. He passed Joe Ferguson tonight, and he's tied with Bobby Lane and Norman Snead for career touchdown passes at the moment, and closing in on Ken Anderson. Incomplete, intended for Brian Brennan.
Steve Hurt down in our brain trust down there. I'm going to put you to work. At the current pace, if Marino continues, when will he become the all-time NFL touchdown pass leader? Now let's see how long it takes him to come up with this answer.
He's already got the answer. A week from Thursday, I think.
A week from Thursday.
Steve really appreciates that. He doesn't have enough to do down there. What else do you want to know? Rogers Hornsby's batting average in 1926?
We're talking about everybody he's passing. I mean, we don't have to have it in 90 seconds.
2nd and 10 from the 33-yard line. And the catch is made by Fontenot up at the 40. Short of the first down by about 3. 3rd and 3 with 12 minutes to play in regulation. And the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise. Oh, yeah. I wonder if he's certified.
Sure gets lonely up there, doesn't it?
It troubles me. I saw Santa Claus today on water skis. It doesn't seem right, does it?
Oh, we're in South Florida.
And we saw Donald Trump's boat floating around down here.
That takes up all of South Florida.
Yeah. 3rd and 3 from the 41. And Slaughter makes the catch, has the first down at the 46-yard line.
I think Webster's arm is okay. If some contact is what he was looking for to find out if his fractured forearm is healed okay, I think that might at least get him headed in the right direction from a confidence standpoint.
Sure,
He takes a real good shot.
They wouldn't let him in there unless it was perfectly all right. He does. I think it's more psychological. This is what Marty Schottenheimer wanted him to get rid of. He has a pin in that arm. You have to be thinking about it. Got hurt in the 6th game of the season against Philadelphia, and I think he would like to get him ready for the playoffs, and now it becomes a much more difficult task to reach those playoffs.
The Dolphins, I think, are taking a timeout here. Judson is hurt. He was staggering around, and I don't think he knew where he was for the moment, and they want to get him out of the game. So here he comes.
He's played a game tonight,
and that's a smart play by Miami. You're protecting you're protecting a 14-point lead. Don't take any chances with Bernie Kosar, quarterback.
It was actually the official who signaled for it. They're not charged with it, but he noticed him wandering about almost aimlessly, and Renee Thompson comes in to replace him.
Kosar will find him quickly
at the 47-yard line. First down.
Like maybe now.
Dolphins, after showing blitz, then back off and send only 4. And Kosar slings it to the 35, and a great move by Langhorne, but it only results in another yard or so more. First down at the 35.
Interesting game being played on that last play as Kosar looked out, saw single coverage in the form of Thompson, who had just come in for William Judson. He changed the play, and Miami changed too. They went to double coverage out on that side.
Judson is back in and lines up at right corner with Brennan out there for Cleveland. First down, Browns at the 36. 9:45 to go. Kosar at the 31-yard line. That's the first catch of the night for Derek Tennell, who is the heir apparent to Ozzie Newsome. When and if Newsome retires, Tennell in his 2nd year out of UCLA appears to have a promising future.
And if I was a member of the Cleveland Browns, I'd be getting back in the huddle. The clock continues to run, 9:17 and ticking, and 2 touchdowns down, and Bernie Kosar is hobbling badly.
And the crowd, if Kosar comes out and this guy comes in, Don Strock, you will hear an ovation.
Well,
and Marty Schottenheimer with some major concern right now. This is about the worst sight possible for Schottenheimer and the Browns. It was Offerdahl who came in and hit him.
And Kosar almost looks like he has nowhere to go. It almost appears to be too painful to walk on, and yet he doesn't want to go down on the field. Let's see if we can get a look at it here. The ball is gone, and there's John Offerdahl, who comes right into the front of the knee, and a lot of times that's where you'll see like a hyperextension of the knee, where the knee actually gets driven back. Oh, and Bernie Kosar has a sore leg. Walking off, though, looking better than he did a minute ago.
First thing it does, as you well know, Dan, it scares you.
Oof.
Scares him. What about Modell? Art Modell is breathing again right now.
You see the knee braces that a lot of the players wear. They are really more for the knee getting flexed to the inside on a blow from the side. There's really a limit to what they can do from that direction, and the crowd tells you who's coming into the game.
Strock, of course, the emergency quarterback brought in by the Browns, but he won a game for them. Big game against Philadelphia. Danielson was out, Pagel was out, Kosar was out, and they know him well here in Miami. He's won big games here.
Now, this will be interesting to see how they react to any success he might have.
2nd and 6 as he takes over at the 31, the 38-year-old Strock. And he gives it to Byner, and a big hole, and Byner takes it to the 20-yard line. He's tackled by Jarvis Williams. The clock ticking down, 8:48 to play in regulation. 31-17 Miami. And there's Kosar. Worked on the Cleveland bench as the Browns have moved the ball to the 20-yard line.
Boy, this again, Al, leads us back to Mike Pagel and the possibilities of what the Browns can do with him.
Because right now, only Strock backs up Kosar. The emergency quarterback, if Strock were to go down, is Brian Brennan. Mike Pagel is on injured reserve. Gary Danielson is on injured reserve. At the 20, 1st and 10 Cleveland. Over the middle, Newsome makes the catch. 1st down at the 6-yard line. Ozzie Newsome, the heart and soul of the Browns.
Frank, this used to be one of the most popular plays in football. Just a quick dump to the tight end, and you don't see it now but once every 7 or 8 games.
Only Don Strock's been around long enough to remember it.
You might be right.
And Newsome.
It doesn't get any easier than that.
You get a tight end that can get inside the linebacker. Why not go with it every time?
Well, it takes a 15-year veteran to an 11-year veteran to pull it off. Strock playing for the first time in 8 weeks. 7.5 minutes to go. 1st and goal at the 6. Langhorne in motion. And Strock throws. It's caught by Langhorne. And he's tackled at the 4-yard line. Mark Brown in on the stop.
Lots of time left in this ball game if the Browns can somehow get it in the end zone, and if the Browns defense can somehow play better than they played here in the 2nd half against Dan Marino and the Miami offense. But boy, there have to be a lot of lumps in people's throats in Cleveland right now. Looking at Bernie Kosar being worked on the sideline.
And you saw the initial pain. If nothing else, we can guarantee he's going to have a very sore knee.
2nd and goal. Lofted for Langhorne. Touchdown. And the crowd viewing this with very mixed emotions. Obviously, they don't want to see the Dolphins give up a score, but on the other hand, Strock is popular as they've ever come here.
Again, a timing pattern. McNeil trying to stay with Langhorne, and you stay with him, but when he gets outside of you, you can't look back or you lose contact with him, and it's beautifully thrown.
What kind of touch is that by Don Strock, a guy you know that doesn't take a whole lot of snaps during the course of the week. Bernie Kosar does almost all the week during practice time, and then come in cold and put that kind of touch on the football.
A very important extra point by Bahr is good. So Strock, who hasn't played in 8 weeks, comes off the bench 3 for 3 for 20 yards and a touchdown.
Very interesting.
Cleveland kicking off to Miami. Miami on top 31-24. And Cribbs moves over to take it at the 9-yard line. And he brings it back out to the 22-yard line with 6:18 to play.
Not only does Don Strock have to put touch on the ball, look at the pressure. Look at the pressure up the middle. And again, the arc on the ball, look at it drop in there. And this expression needs no words. He's seen that before.
He might see it again.
Icy scene on the Cleveland bench. They're down by 7. Kosar's knee being iced up.
And you can see at the bottom of the picture there the crutches that they just put together for Bernie Kosar. Not a good sign at all.
Meanwhile, Miami with the ball at the 22-yard line, and they're not going to sit on it out of the shotgun on 1st and 10. And the catch is made by Davenport, and he takes it to the 34. You know, the funny thing is, a lot of teams, you take the Rams, we had them last week, they lead by 7, 6 minutes to go. They think about grinding it out. Miami comes right out in the shotgun.
I've had this information for about 5 minutes, but this is the first time I could get it in. Steve Hurt No. Oh, this is your guess, Kelly. Oh, what do you hand me a card for? I thought we had the information. Ah, well, I'm going to sit on it for a while then. Well, or we're going to compare your guess with Steve's facts, huh?
And Kosar is going to sit down for the rest of the night, obviously, with those crutches. And there we go. Marino at the current pace, 1992.
That would be in Marino's 10th year then. A fairly remarkable stat.
What did Fran say? Yeah, Fran played about 18, didn't he?
Here's Hampton. And Hampton is out of bounds up at about the 43-yard line. Nice gain. The one thing he wanted to do, though, is stay inbounds if he could, but he couldn't. He's run out by Dixon with 5:20 to play in the fourth. Kosar, and the only thing they're saying right now, sprained knee. He looks like he's done for the night, obviously with the crutches out there. And now, with the Browns, the situation is this. They've got that vital game with Houston next week. It appears Strock will have to start. They're out of moves off injured reserve. They can't bring Pagel back. And Danielson's not ready anyway, but what they did is they waived Steve Sladen off injured reserve last week, and I assume they'll attempt to re-sign him before next week's game.
That's if Jerry Glanville doesn't sign him first.
The Houston coach.
That's a horrible sign.
Encroachment, defense, number 78, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Sladen would be the backup for Strock, and he's a late draft choice out of Duke.
There's your card, Dan.
You notice they got a new one here in Miami after we kind of got after him a little bit after last year after Dwight Stevenson had to leave the field, and boy, that's just, we hope it works out for Bernie and for the Cleveland Browns. Right now, though, the Browns defense has to get them in this game, and they're showing no signs.
Nope, another first down, and not only that, they stay in bounds, and that'll take time off the clock. Davenport quietly having a pretty nice night. Stopped by Brian Washington, and we're down to 5 minutes to go.
And this Cleveland defense, which has really been the hallmark of this team, has just really been flat-footed tonight.
Again, if Cleveland loses, nobody clinches, nobody's eliminated. New England would be a tremendous beneficiary because a win over Denver Saturday would get them in. Indianapolis would still be alive. Cleveland and Houston, of course, still alive. Houston even alive for the division crown if they beat Cleveland. And Cincinnati loses to Washington. But if Cleveland loses next week, in addition to tonight, they'd be out. Hampton stopped for no gain, and right now Miami just trying to take time off the clock.
You said it earlier, Dan. Now is the time for a Cleveland Brown big play. Got a second and long yardage. But again, you're dealing with a Dan Marino who knows what he must not do, and that is turn it over.
Funny second half. Miami took the second half kickoff, drove for a touchdown. Cleveland drove for a touchdown. Miami drove for a touchdown. Cleveland drove for a touchdown. Now Miami has the ball. No turnovers, no punts, up and down the field. 2nd and 9. Knocked down by the big hands of Mike Johnson, number 59. 3rd and 9.
Second and long yardage. Good time to come with the blitz, and the Browns bring Mike Johnson. They brought him on the right side. Marino with a slight roll, and Johnson was right in Marino's face.
So 3rd and 9, a very big play here. 3:39 to play. First down here for Miami, and they can take just that much more time off the clock. Perhaps force Cleveland to use their timeouts on defense. Vital play for the Brown defense here, 3rd and 9.
And Marino running the 45-second clock all the way down to 2 or 3 seconds before he gets it snapped.
Batted, big play, again it's right. And he's tackled by Clayton, but this time he holds on. Clayton can't jar the ball loose, and a big play for the Browns, and Strock and the Browns take over at the 39-yard line.
Well, Felix Wright, his second interception of the game, and again the same tackling combination, and it was really Clayton and Wright who were locked up at the very beginning. And watch this play by Felix, going up, timing his jump, and then staying with the ball, and that's the old tip drill. And again, the hustle by Clayton. This is just a recreation of before. If Mark Clayton doesn't get there, that's a touchdown. Felix Wright walks into the end zone.
And Marino, with all that confidence, still tried to cram it in there. The one thing he didn't want to do is what he just did. And Felix Wright, who probably is having so much of a better year than he's been publicized as having because of the two cornerbacks, key defensive play for the Browns.
From the 39, Byner picks up 1.
If by chance the Miami Dolphins win this game tonight, Mark Clayton ought to get a game ball, not for his receptions, but for his 2 tackles. One that forces Felix Wright into fumbling an interception, and that tackle which saved a touchdown because Felix Wright was gone. Mark Clayton is the only guy that has a shot at it. Not often a wide receiver deserves a game ball for a couple tackles.
2 great plays.
Clock ticking down under 3 minutes. 2nd and 9 at the 38-yard line. Miami ahead by 7. Brennan covered by Judson. And that's capital C.
And that's pretty close to offensive interference on Brian Brennan.
If it isn't, they don't call it.
William Judson is the guy with the inside position. Watch Brennan come over the top. He's going for the ball, and you can hear the crowd. They just saw that on the board. Good play by Brian Brennan. That's a play he has to make. Running the risk of the flag or not, he has to break that up. That's a heads-up play by Brennan.
4 wide receivers in for the Browns on 3rd and 10.
At the 38-yard line. And they give it to Byner on an inside handoff, and Byner only gets to the 33. Now he's about 4.5 yards short of a first down with 2.5 minutes to go.
Remember when we talked to Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator of Miami this morning? He said the single biggest thing that's been killing us is people have been running the ball on us when we're in our nickel set. When it's a passing situation, they've been running the ball on us, and that time his defensive team, there's Olivadotti, his defensive team plays the run well.
Well, biggest play of the game coming up right now for Cleveland, and so Schottenheimer wants to gather all the resources and call a timeout here with a 4th down, a little bit more than 4 at the 33-yard line.
What drama. You have the former backup quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. He's the last thing they have at quarterback for the Browns, who struggled all year long with quarterback problems, going against his teammates of 14 years.
Well, with Cleveland, a loss tonight, again, it doesn't eliminate them, but they've got the game against Houston next week. What it does is it forces them to win that game next week to advance to the playoffs. And again, New England has to be sitting there, and the Patriots licking their lips at the prospect of a Miami win because they know they can get to the playoffs just by beating Denver on Saturday. Indianapolis would still be alive.
Strock also tried to be the first quarterback to take a drink of water through a glass with his face mask in its position.
It's been so long since he's had that on.
Safe to say, I think he's a little bit preoccupied.
So it's 4th down, 4.5. I think Shula was saying, watch the pick to one of the officials as the Browns come up from the shotgun.
And how many times has Strock faced this defense on the practice field?
Bad snap, but he picks it up, buys time, throws to the 7-yard line. The catch is made by Brennan. Unbelievable. 1st and goal, and that's how we get to the 2-minute warning.
Strock bobbled the ball. Had there been any pass rush whatsoever, he would not have had time to take that deep of a pattern to Brennan. But give Brennan credit too. The little possession receiver worked himself clear. Strock bought the time. A lot of patience. Kept his eye on the receiver and fired it in there. Super catch. Or was it a super catch? So close.
A lot of time for them to review it. 2-minute warning. Look, they have been taking a look at this catch Shula wants to know what the deal is. You take a look now. Does Brennan make the catch or not?
It's very close, but remember, it has to be conclusive. That's the buzzword on the replay. You watch. You make the judgment. Great effort, great concentration.
I think the ball hits him in the thigh pad. I think it's a good catch.
Completion, first down.
I think that the ball hits him in the thigh pad. We've been watching that for 2 minutes from a number of different angles, and none of us are in a position to say that it hit the ground.
And almost lost on that is the fact, as they confirm it as a catch, was the great work of the Cleveland Browns offensive line to get Strock, who dropped the ball, time to get the ball off.
And that was a 4th down play, so it's 1st and goal at the 8. Browns trail by 7, 2 minutes to go. Herman Fontenot lunges to the 3-yard line. 2nd and goal. They have all of their timeouts left.
And late flags here.
Yep. Well after the play.
And if this should in any way go against Cleveland, what a disaster for the Browns.
Against Miami.
Obviously not.
And half the distance.
Personal foul. Defense, number 55. Penalized half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Well, Cleveland having troubles offensively throughout the season. As you see, only the Browns and Dallas with 3 TDs or less in every game. They've scored 3 tonight and are looking for a 4th.
That penalty's on Hugh Green, number 55, and it takes the ball half the distance.
And a first down.
And a 1st and goal at the 1.5.
I wonder if it's in the Browns' best interest to score in a hurry.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's a good news, bad news here. First things first, though, Byner to the 1. This is not the worst thing in the world, though. On 2nd and goal at the 1, they'd like to take a little, well, Schottenheimer.
Whoa.
This is very interesting. Instead of Cleveland taking the time off the clock, you'd think Miami would take the timeout here.
But Marty thought better about calling that timeout. He backed off of that in a hurry.
They're going to let it roll. I mean, the optimal situation for Cleveland is to score and take as much time off the clock as they can. You don't want to give Marino the ball with 1:50.
No.
And so he rescinds the timeout, retracts it.
You want to score. Let's not lose sight of that.
Right.
I mean, we're kind of asking for everything here.
2nd and goal. They may need everything. They get the touchdown to Langhorne. With 59 seconds.
Shows the confidence that Marty Schottenheimer has in Don Strock. On 2nd down, goal to go, 2-yard line. Schottenheimer, no question at all. He'll let Strock put it in the air. He knows that he'll protect it, knows he'll cover it. Hey, this is fun.
And there's nobody in this league can make 59 seconds look longer than Dan Marino. You are going to see some pained expressions on the Browns sideline when they see how long 59 seconds can be when the football's in the hands of that guy. But some kind of a comeback by the Browns.
Strock 5 out of 6. 2 touchdowns. Bahr's extra point, which was relatively significant, to tie the game.
How about Don Strock coming in relief of the injured Bernie Kosar? Only a couple of touchdown passes. What do you expect?
One team with a lot at stake in the Cleveland Browns trying to get to the playoffs, another with nothing at stake. But the two have made for a perfect combination for the fans. 31 all with 59 seconds to play. And Miami with all of its timeouts. And the kick goes out of bounds, so they'll start at the 35-yard line. Will the Dolphins? 59 seconds and all 3 timeouts.
Not a second used there either. The ball wasn't touched by one of the Miami Dolphins, so no ticks on the clock, and the ball clear up at the 35. That is not the way to get things started for the Browns, and Marino knows it.
Let's update Kosar. Report, 2nd-degree sprain left knee. He'll be fitted with a brace, and they say it's 50-50 that he'll play next Sunday against Houston. That's the story at the moment on Kosar. Dolphins out of the gun from the 35. Marino. Jensen drops the ball. Second down.
Don't see that very often, do you? Another time of Jensen coming out of the backfield. A very simple pattern. The ball just a little bit behind him, and Mike Johnson, you see number 59, late getting there, and for some reason the Brown linebackers are just perplexed by the very simple pass routes of people coming out of the backfield for Miami.
4 receivers for the Dolphins. Second and 10 from the 35. And Marino fires to who else? Mark Clayton. He had the first down. Now he doesn't. Now he does again, and a flag is thrown at the 47-yard line. He was across the 45, then came back, picked it up again, and we'll see about the penalty. He indicates somebody grabbed his face mask. Bradford indicates it anyway.
Face mask. Defense. Number 36. 5 yards. First down.
Stephen Bragg.
Now's the execution and poor timing. That'll help the cause of the Dolphins. I thought it was a clip myself when we saw Jensen coming back to get into the play.
I think Schwade's number 81 comes back in. Watch him come in and put a clip on Felix Wright. Boy, when the head's behind a guy, that's, I think a lot of the Cleveland Browns thought that that's what the call was going to be when they saw the flag, not a face mask.
First down at the 47-yard line. Marino going for it all for Banks. Touchdown. No. One official signals touchdown, and the other said he went out. He's inside the one, but the official, the field judge, signaled touchdown, but the back judge overrules.
You're right, Alan. He did signal touchdown, but he clearly went out at the 1 foot line. And what a pass and what a catch.
You can see the back judge. He was right on top of it there. He spots it, and he did go out of bounds right there.
Good call.
Again, Dan, you talked about how long 59 seconds could be. We've got 37 left.
The number 1 pass defense in the National Football League is literally being brought to its knees tonight by Dan Marino. I mean, just being dissected and eaten alive. There is no other way to describe it.
I hope a lot of people are watching this tonight, even with Miami out of the playoff picture, as they are seeing an almost unbelievable exhibition by Dan Marino. We watched him do a lot of things, and he has been incredible tonight.
So the ball at the half-yard line.
And good protection for Marino. Super block by Jensen, number 11, and right in stride to the former Cleveland Brown.
Yep. Well, maybe they might be looking, but as I said, the official furthest from the play signaled touchdown. The one nearest said no. The two then conferred. Upstairs, they're taking a peek at it. It's almost academic in a way at this particular point. You might say they're in field goal range.
Banks, the former Cleveland Brown back in 1985, cut in 86. We watched, coming off the bench, Don Strock get the Cleveland Browns back in it, the former Miami Dolphin. As we look once again, and I don't think there's any question.
No, I don't either, Frank. I'm not.
And Reveiz warming up on the sideline.
I mean, you can look at this both ways. One, we're back to the situation where the Browns would have a little time to work with, although we're not talking about maneuvering into field goal range. We're talking about getting a touchdown to tie. And if you're Miami, anything can happen if you don't have it in the end zone. A fumbled exchange, whatever. I mean, this is more than just a casual look by the officials in the replay booth.
Meanwhile, Marino looking at the clock, coming to the bench.
They might be discussing a lot of options, one of them being a quarterback sneak.
I don't know what they're just...
They've confirmed that the ruling is correct, and we understand. Kenny Wolf is telling me they're having trouble communicating it to the field. so there won't be a change in the play.
Put some new batteries in the walkie-talkie.
Meanwhile, Marino is now over 400 yards. He's 30 of 50 for 404 yards.
Meanwhile, one of the officials has come over to the sideline to get on the phone up to the replay booth over here on the Dolphin bench. And that's always the indication that the umpire's communication device has malfunctioned. And we'll get on with this. First and goal for the Dolphins.
We know that, but the crowd doesn't know that. They're going to hear it in a moment.
There can't be any doubt from what our cameras are telling us up here.
After further review, play stands as called. Completed pass. First down.
First down inside the 1. Again, 37 seconds remaining.
A lot of times Ron Davenport has been the guy here.
But do you risk the fumble? That's, of course, the big question.
To the tailback, Hampton. Dolphins take the lead again. Cleveland will get it back with 34 seconds and 2 timeouts.
Now, you know what's going on there. Don Strock is probably talking to Marty. They're probably going back over what they talked about during the week. Don Strock, who better, the former Dolphin, to discuss what Miami might come up with in some sort of prevent defense.
Started off very poorly for the Browns with Bahr's kickoff that went out of bounds. Miami got to start right off the bat at the 35. And then it looked like Miami, remember they threw the pass to Jensen and he drops it. But Dan Marino, how do they ever take the under when the Dolphins are involved?
Yeah.
They score some points in the games they play. They score, their opponents score.
The under players loved it in the first quarter. The first quarter ended 0-0.
When he does, he puts the tempo to the game and he keeps turning it up. When he has it going and he's hot like he's been tonight, he just keeps cranking it down, and the entire tempo of the game speeds up. And we talked to Marty Schottenheimer, and we mentioned it earlier, he just marvels at Dan Marino, has no better way of putting it. And we asked him last night about the lack of the sacks. He talked about the scheme of the offense, which he also admires a great deal, but he said there's been no one like this. He said he is as good or better than Joe Namath in releasing the ball. Those were his words, Al.
Yep. And it's funny, Frank, how the fortunes in this business, like any business, I suppose, they change almost from week to week. The last time we were in here, not only were the people complaining and moaning about the defense, but about Marino, saying, you know, hey, what's Dan's problem? Has he leveled off, plateaued, lost interest? What? They went 2 weeks without a touchdown, and then all of a sudden, the last 3 weeks, they've exploded.
A
from the old
local
Marino.
Fort Lauderdale paper yesterday was discussing the possibility of trading Dan Marino, getting draft picks and doing an Eric Dickerson type move.
Under different circumstances. Reveiz to kick off. Again, Cleveland has 2 timeouts left. Clock starts now. McNeil to the 17 and 29 seconds. David Fry makes the tackle.
Fuad Reveiz, our Travelers Man of the Year, kept that inbounds.
Oh, nice, Frank.
Yep.
Well, that's what he is. We always work one in for you.
More business. Working a promo will be at the Metrodome next week. The Bears, champs in the NFC Central, and the Vikings, who have all but mathematically clinched a wild card. And I say that, and we've brought it up from time to time. Among the things that would have to happen for Minnesota not to get in is Philadelphia would have to beat Dallas, and Minnesota would have to lose to Chicago with a combined margin of 100 points. And then Minnesota wouldn't be in.
But still, though, Al, what's at stake there, hopefully, by the time we kick it off, could be Minnesota's being home for that wild card game. That's still to be determined.
Stay tuned. From the 18-yard line, Strock out of bounds. 24 seconds now. And so Cleveland, it'll come down to this for Cleveland. They'll have to win next week on the lakefront. Kosar will be 50-50 at least as of the moment. There it is. With a win against Houston, they'd clinch a wild card, and with 2 losses, and one of them would be tonight, unless they rally here, they'd be eliminated from the playoffs.
And you wonder how the weather next weekend in Cleveland, how that's going to affect the Houston Oilers. A team from the south plays indoors. It's not going to be easy for them trying to win on Lake Erie, where this time of year it's going to be cold.
2nd and 10. Strock, and that one is picked off but out of bounds. Bud Brown over there, 17 seconds now, and back it comes to the 18-yard line, 3rd and 10.
But it won't be any colder in Cleveland than it will be at any of the other lake cities up north.
For instance, what other cities?
This telecast is presented by the authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or any other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is strictly prohibited.
You're a bully.
Chicago, Buffalo, all those cities up on
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Hey, it was cold everywhere this past weekend.
3rd and 10. Here's Byner trying to make something out of a short flip.
I don't think Cincinnati's one of the Great Lakes cities, but it was colder there than it was some of the other places.
I'm just talking about the eastern cities that are going to be involved in the playoffs.
Meanwhile, timeout here with 9
We're prone
seconds.
to do
On occasion.
Good one tonight in Miami. And again, a Cleveland loss tonight. Nobody clinches. Nobody's eliminated. New England would gain a wild card spot with a win at Denver. What would have to happen for Indianapolis now is to have the Patriots. There's New England's possibilities first. Again, Browns losing tonight unless they come up with a last-second miracle. So they need a win next week at Denver. That's a Saturday game. And there's Indianapolis now, and 4 things would have to happen. The first of which, the Browns would lose tonight. Then they'd have to beat Buffalo at the Hoosier Dome. Browns would have to lose to Houston. Patriots would have to lose to Denver. And Indy would get in.
All possibilities.
There it is. And again, Houston still has a chance. If Cincinnati were to lose its Saturday game to Washington, and Houston beats Cleveland, not only does Houston get in, Houston is the division champ, and they get a week off.
Of course, in this league, what isn't a possibility?
Yeah. 1st and 10, 31-yard line. Weathers trying to get out of bounds and can't. Stays in bounds, and that'll do it. And the Miami Dolphins, and it ends with a scrap between Thompson knocking down Byner, and then T.J. Turner plays Arthur Mercanti. Or attempts to.
I don't think I ever saw Arthur Mercanti sling a guy to the ground before.
in his best day, he couldn't do that.
Well, you get the idea, right?
I'm sure he appreciates your thinking of him now.
Good old Arthur.
It's amazing how the big man can throw the little man around so easily. Did you see that?
Yes, that was a one-handed toss by Turner. And quite a toss that the Dolphins administered to the Browns here tonight.
And the clock now, it had gone down to 0. You saw it superimposed, and somehow a second has appeared again. A mystery second has made its appearance.
And with what's at stake for the Cleveland Browns, you better believe they'll take it. They'll take one more play anytime they can get it, and they'll take it here.
They'll hang it up deep, look for that defensive foul. The period quarter can't end on that. The game can't end on that. They could get another shot. We see it so often in pro football, but we'll see it again.
So somehow, some way, this mystery second has reappeared. Well, there it is. The Heat still cold. 17 straight. Jazz win tonight in Salt Lake City.
And the Jazz minus Frank Layden.
What a loss.
Who just quit.
Yep. And I think a lot of you saw that. He mentioned the Shula and Landry and Knoll situation. And he said, it's funny how those guys all got dumb over the winter, huh?
I don't know that there's ever been a coach, certainly in the NBA, that could quite equal the sense of humor of Frank Clayton.
Terrific.
I love the guy.
Greatest line of all. A couple of years ago, having trouble signing one of their high draft choices, and Layton says to the press, the guy wants $1.8 million the first year and $2 million the second. I told him, hey, what do you think? You're in college?
It will be a loss.
I like that as good.
Meanwhile, they're trying to figure out where this second has come from, I think. You talk about a prevent defense.
There it is.
Looks like a rugby league here.
Receiver was down by contact. One play, first down.
Craig, we got to get a wide shot of this Miami defense here. I think maybe only the blimp can shoot this.
I mean, Jarvis Williams is 10, 20, 30, 45 yards from the line of scrimmage.
They've got 3 guys back at the 20.
I think he's overestimating Strock's arm.
We may see a bunch of laterals here if we don't see a Hail Mary, which we're going to start with anyway. And the game is over.
And I want to tell you something. If Reggie Langhorne would have turned around, we might have seen a recreation of the Immaculate Reception. Reggie Langhorne, who was trailing the play, was beyond it, turned his back. And Frank, did you see that? That ball took a big bounce in the air his way.
There he is, Langhorne.
Take a look at this. Reggie Langhorne at the bottom. Now watch him keep on going. Oh, the ball hits the ground right there and then comes off the leg.
Brennan right there as well.
Yeah, initially it looked like it came off Brennan's leg without hitting the ground.
Well, the big beneficiary tonight, New England. They control their fate now for a postseason berth if they win at Denver. This is not a real disaster for Cleveland because they still get to the playoffs with a win against Houston. Indianapolis keeps breathing on a figurative respirator. And Miami, of course, out of the playoff picture, but their 5-game losing streak comes to a halt.
Yeah, and of course the concern over Bernie Kosar has got to be major in the Cleveland Browns plans.
So that is the story from Joe Robbie Stadium. Kelly Hayes and George Hill, our guys upstairs, and our crew led by producer Ken Wolf, Craig Janoff, our director, as we wrap it up from Miami, where the Dolphins beat the Browns by a score of 38-31.
You're doing well.
And we're looking, we call this a panic close in our business, and I'm panicking because I can't find it.
Just make one up. Travel arrangements,
right,
and all that.
Right. Whatever it's supposed to say at this point. I know one thing, we'll be in Minnesota next week as the Chicago Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings to wrap up the 1988 regular season. Okay, I'll follow you guys as we go along here.